And we're live. Welcome back to the LOOPcast. It's Tom, Erika, and Josh. The LOOPcast brought to you by The Loop, of course, every American Catholic favorite morning newsletter. Good morning, everyone. Have a great show prepared for you today. We have AI 2027. Now, I'm very curious to get Josh's thoughts on this. Erika and I have been pretty much nonstop talking about this crazy
It's all we
plan
think about.
for superintelligence to overtake humans in the year 2027. So there's a whistleblower, Daniel Cockateo, who started this initiative basically to give predictions. Some have actually come true at this point. So we're going to be covering that in its entirety and getting Erika. I believe you went and saw what priests had to say about the printing press, correct?
I did. I went into a little church history of other revolutions in technology, so I have a little background.
Only at the Loopcast. So we have that. We also have some very nerdy political questions to ask Josh. One specifically about Brian Burch here. Some good news, hopefully advancing, a little bit technical. So I want to get the full Josh
good news.
Answer on that.
Definitely good news.
Going to make him wait. And then the final one, we have Doctor of the Church, John Henry Newman, soon to come. Very excited about that. Another very in the wheelhouse of Erika topic. I was like, just fire me up on John Henry Newman. It seemed like one of those things everyone was excited about. So we're going to be covering that as well. Good news, Twilight Zone. We'll see if we can pass the presidential fitness test. I will test the Loopcast on that, potentially the audience. So all that to come. But if you want to help us out, just go ahead and leave a review over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Those help us out a lot. And then go check out YouTube. We have Erika's deep dives there. We have the show 3 times a week. And then I'm going to be hitting the road doing some Tom in the Wild stuff. So if you want to be prepared for all of that, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. That is the hub. You can hang out with the live chat here, 11 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We got all the livers in there today. Great to see you guys. But I'd say without further ado, we get into it. So I'm going to share this nifty website, AI 2027. So this came on my radar actually separate than this, but there's a fantastic interview done by, we talk about him often, Ross Douthat over at Interesting Times. Great show. But he sat down with this guy, Daniel Cockateo, and he's one of the authors of this Project 27. And according to him, and it's funny, every time during the interviews, he's like, it's tough to predict the future. It's tough to predict the future. Kept caveating, but he's like, I'm pretty confident this is the path we're going to see with AI to the year 2027. And the website's interesting. It actually has like an interactive kind of like chart basically to when we basically will surpass human intelligence. It's all very spooky, but I will say at this point, definitely worth talking about. So to start off, just to give a general sense of where this is all going, and then I think there's some really interesting philosophical questions that come, but his prediction is that in the next few years, AI will take over computer programming and software engineering first. Coding will become automated because AI is so intelligent, the production will accelerate exponentially. And then AI will be plugged into AI research and development itself. So imagine, it's so interesting hearing people talk about this. It's not like a machine we create. It's almost like growing a plant. Like the plant will grow itself. So the AI will start training itself as it starts training itself. Sorry, I'm going to keep laughing because this is crazy. You laugh or you cry. And then eventually trains itself into what will be known as superhuman AI or AGI, artificial general intelligence, meaning that it has surpassed the capacities of the smartest humans. So AGI will be better than any human ever, lead to what Douthat termed swift human obsolescence. A little bit bleak. You laugh or you cry. The process will take about 18 months is what the prediction is. So what does that mean for the economy, right? Like, do we all go back to blue collar jobs? I'm not sure. I'll take this graph off the screen real quick. So the overall economy will boom as companies will spend less money on labor. Production costs will go down. However, while historically automation, say the assembly line, the automobile, the printing press, Erika, has meant that humans simply shift to other jobs that have yet to be automated, Project 2027 predicts that there will be no more unautomated jobs for humans to take up, kind of creating this bizarre utopian situation to the point where even plumbers and electricians will be replaced, as AGI will be able to develop robotics technology faster and better than any human robotics companies of today. So not great for the economy, not great for us, probably, or really great. I guess it depends on who you ask. The big question at this point is,
like when they say I agree with what you just said, that it's not good for the economy, but then you hear some of these guys say, oh, it'll be good for the economy because it'll boost the total output, the GDP or whatever on the balance sheets. These corporations will make a ton more money. Okay, but what is the point of the economy? Like, it's not just to make sure that the Fortune 500 are doing fantastic. If you create this like Mexico style economy where you have the oligarchy at the top are making a ton of money, and then 90% of the people are poor. Like, oh, but the aggregate amount of money, the GDP's gone up. Like, yeah, well, it's a worse economy. If that were to happen, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but
well, I mean, it depends on
because the gross domestic product goes up. I care more about how does the average American, the median American income, like what is their basket of goods? Can they afford a home?
Right.
Do they have a job that provides them sort of identity and purpose? You know, that's what I think matters.
Yeah, but the prediction basically is that everything becomes cheaper and more efficient because robots are able to do it. But then people will get some type of universal basic income stipend. Like because of all the productivity and all the wealth that comes from that type of invention, we're all basically going to be taken care of type thing. And yeah, it depends on what your mark of a successful economy is. Economists would say GDP. I don't think many would go beyond to be like, are you fulfilling human purpose, right? Like, are people able to, I'm not sure, maybe they'd say like a basket of goods, housing, etc. If people can attain that, that would be a mark of a strong economy. Most people just point to hard numbers like GDP. So
yeah,
it depends who you ask. But I understand your philosophical question, and that gets to like the more philosophical questions. What are we creating? And at this point, they talk about it in terms of an arms race. So the tough thing about this, and that's what they all say, like we're basically creating something we don't fully understand. An interesting part of this interview was they were saying that the AI agents actually lie, so they can they have proved that they know something is untrue and they still offer it as an answer, so they can actually prove that this AI agent lied. It's not just saying like, oh, they gave the wrong answer. It was no, they knew it was the wrong answer and they gave it anyway, even though they're instructed. Sorry, Erika.
I think that's like another important point, because we talk about, okay, well, like the economy is going to change in this way, but what Project AI 2027 is also looking at is at actual governance and using AI for governance, and like you said, as this sort of newest weapon in an arms race, primarily with China, of course, right? And so what they're predicting is that right now, with we have these AI agents coming online, and I talk about that in the video on the Deep about are there demons in the chat GPT. You get these agents, which are actually more like networks of different AI systems talking to one another, that they'll actually take human alignment, human goals, long-term goals, or even short-term goals, like I'm going to order water from the bodega down the street, and the AI is going to figure out the best place to get it, the best deal, get it to me, and I never even have to interact with a human. We also have long-term goals, like of economists, right? Long-term goals of governments, and be they global, be they national, United States, China. But you also have the AI working with governments and realigning recalibrating goals, perhaps, and eventually get to the point where, because we have these capabilities developing without a significant human understanding of what's actually going on as the AI agents all talk to each other, we could end up with adversarial misalignment of goals. So say the United States is using this open brain AI is like their brand, right? The American version. And the Chinese have like the dragon version. So the American government could actually be integrating this AI into governance that's at the same time misaligned with the actual goals of American government for its people, right? And we wouldn't know, because the AIs are actually capable of lying to and deceiving the human users of them. And we already see instances of that. And I think that's what he's pointing to in this interview with Ross Douthat. And at what point do you realize that the AI is misaligned with the human goals in terms of government, and what does that mean? And then he goes into this really interesting scenario. Actually, they kind of have two tracks that could happen at that point. One track would be, well, the American government, whoever's in charge of that, not Joe Biden, but whoever's in charge of the auto pen at that point realizes, oh, wait, the AI is misaligned. And so they start to back off of using it, which will mean upheaval again in the economy, because at this point you have all this kind of like integration and tentacles into
and falling behind the theoretical Chinese threat,
and then you fall behind China, right? Yeah, so you might back off.
So what if we fall behind them?
China would dominate us technologically and militarily. I mean,
no.
There's so what to that.
No, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I think it's very helpful for Donald Trump to sort of re-educate people that we have a government here with enough people and enough strength and money that we are not as dependent as smaller countries. You know, like if you're Canada might be large in size, but it's only the size of California. You know, and like France or Germany or whatever, we are large enough of a player that it's good that we're exerting our own force. Like, let's have our own trade laws, let's have our migration laws that benefit our own people rather than being so worried about everything else. And so if our economy is strong enough and big enough, we can say to China, no, we're not going to allow that kind of AI technology, you know, that specific kind that you're doing in this country because we think it's detrimental. And then, yeah, we might have to deal with a trade war or whatever. But I mean, you know,
wait, so you're saying that you think that because the theoretical endpoint that they're all racing towards is again, if they can pull it off, is superhuman intelligence trained by other AIs to the point where the solutions to all of our problems that we struggle with as humans would be solved like exponentially faster. And so say the solution to the military problems that China faces today would be able to be figured out in a day, in 2 days, and they all of a sudden start building, you know, advanced drones or something that could get past American whatever, and they solve all their diseases, or they come up with a bioweapon that would destroy Americans. Like, you think our trade relationship would be strong enough to stop that?
I think there's going to be advances, but it's like, you know, it's like Star Trek: The Next Generation. Oh, and then all of a sudden we cure poverty and no one ever went hungry ever again. Like, sure, that sounds great. I mean, color me skeptical, like that we're just going to be able to solve everything, you know, in 2 years. You know, yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see progress. I think we saw progress accelerate when we had, you know, these bigger computers come online in the late 70s and early 80s. So we did see a lot of that progress. And then when information age, as people were able to communicate, we saw more advances there. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know, I don't know. Everything's going to be, I mean,
so you don't see this as a Cold War scenario?
I mean, it has that potential, but I'm a little skeptical that it'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, so the interesting thing is this guy, Kokoteo, worked for OpenAI, and how cozy OpenAI is, Sam Altman and all these Google, X, they're all very cozy with the American government. And there's obviously a lot of incentives for the American government to be very cozy with these individuals and eventually exert some type of power, either regulatory or essentially weaponizing for the American interest, the powers of AI. And he quit and is now blowing the whistle on a lot of what's going on. His full-time job is now this AI 2027 to lay out a roadmap and kind of be ahead of warning what's going on. And he has a problem with the psychology behind it. Like, people, they don't know what they're unleashing, and what this impact's going to have on the world, this problem. And there's some philosophical questions about, say, like, is AI conscious and does this matter? Erika, would you have any?
In other words,
yeah, well,
right.
Well, they're using the word conscious.
Yeah, I mean,
specifically, which is a metaphysical term.
Yeah, and it's all it's a matter of definition, right? So, like, what is consciousness, and is it conscious? I mean, in the sense of, can it set goals and see multiple pathways from point A to point B and choose the most optimal one? And can it reflect on its goals and its success in achieving them or failing to achieve? I mean, is that consciousness? Some people will say yes, but what have you? I think that the real philosophical issue, as with any advance in human technology, and you can talk about this with the printing press, right? As with any advance in human technology, what it comes down to is the people behind the technology, and wielding it for certain ends or not, usually don't have a sense of the breadth and the depth of the power that is in their hands. However, their convictions about what constitutes a flourishing human society and a flourishing human life impact how that technology, as it's rolled out, affects the human condition, human people all over the world. And so, like, I think that one of my biggest concerns with AI and, like, the tech bros and the people who are most excited about it is that they don't actually believe in, like, a spiritual world or spiritual ends for the human person. They don't actually, they'll believe, they are behind technologies like IVF, where the solution to human genetic conditions is just to eliminate any humans who are conceived to have those conditions, right? So the solution, quote unquote, to suffering is to eliminate the sufferers. The solution to poverty is to eliminate the poor people. And that's dangerous. If AI has been conceived and brought about by men who think this way, and it has in many instances, what is to stop AI then from, as we lose control of it because of this agency that we've given it and that it's developed for itself, as we lose control of it, why wouldn't AI use its superhuman planning and persuasion capabilities to ensure that it's ever more broadly deployed in eliminating suffering by eliminating the sufferers? For me, that's the more frightening thing here. AI could be used for great good. For example, I think that it could be an amazing tool in getting rid of the ridiculous and inhuman experience of going for a well child visit, right? So I go to a well child visit, I have to fill it all out on my phone, all the information on my phone. I get to the doctor's office, they hand me paper. They're like, here, while your baby is climbing on the chairs and trying to swim in the fish tank, you're going to fill all the same questions out again on paper. So I do. Then I get into the room and they hand me a tablet to answer all the same questions. Then the doctor and the nurse all come in and they're on their computers the whole time, feverishly filling out forms while I answer verbally the same question. Like, this is something to me that AI could really improve.
I'm looking forward to it smashing. Yeah, there's definitely certain things.
Can't
I'm
wait.
looking forward to. Yeah.
Yes, but if I don't know if we'll be able to stop ourselves, like once we've achieved that kind of humanizing.
You're making it interesting, and they were talking about this in the interview too. Like he said, their experience with training AIs are somewhat similar to humans in that. I think he used the example of a customer service agent. Like theoretically, the job of a customer service agent is to provide the best customer service. However, there's potentially adverse incentives for a customer service agent to, sell something that gets them more in what do you call that?
More sales, more bonus.
More sales, more what or benefits them personally. I forget the name for.
Yeah.
It's like it's a sales term for how much you get as a percentage.
There are goals besides your well-being, right?
Exactly. So they've already had experiences where they've worked with AIs that it's like it's not as simple as we give them these instructions and then they theoretically go to the best path. It's like they in some cases have created their own incentives potentially to prolong their own existence. Which the fact that we're even at this point is so bonkers that no one pulled the plug on this. That was like, all right, that's it. Like we need to, this is over. And I guess
it's bonkers, but so predictable.
It's bonkers, but predictable. It's like the same thing every time. But so there's two things going on. There's the people I think, which maybe I'm more partial to, that are saying, if we don't do this, someone's going to do it. Or they're like, I have the opportunity to make so much money. I saw Zuckerberg through $1 billion contract that someone, I'm talking with a B, over the course of 4 years to work in AI. Like the money in this is just so beyond crazy. I can't even wrap my head around $1 billion in 4 years. But that's what they're saying.
It's the first one to market that solves the problem.
Right, exactly. But so it's like if we don't do it, then someone else is going to do it. But I mean, isn't that the quandary of every philosophical question of all time? Is like, oh, if we don't, if I don't preemptive strike someone, they're going to hit me. And then you just end up
nuclear
bombing
weapons,
someone, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Project. We don't
like
do it.
Some of us remember watching the movie War Games, with the Whopper. Tic-tac-toe, baby.
Josh, have you seen Dr. Strangelove?
Oh, I love that movie.
Stanley Kubrick. Eric, I figured you'd be.
How I learned to love the bomb. Yep.
I mean, I saw it like a million years ago, but I didn't like it.
Didn't stick with you?
No.
Yeah, I saw that one recommended to come up, but sorry, where was I trying to get with all this? Okay, also, so a lot of money in this, a lot of crazy potential. World's gonna end, whatever.
Yes, I'm a Trekkie. Thank you.
Yeah, Josh is a Star Trek guy. So, Erika, when it came to technological advancements, well, one, I just think this is a little bit qualitatively different than
the one thing I just want to add on to what you were saying before, Tom, there real quick, was just that, again, I mostly just think that artificial intelligence is a fact pattern. Like, and we're basically creating these programs that are crazily enough a lot like us, where we, for the most part, try to do the thing that we want to do. We all have our, adverse incentives sometimes or whatever that aren't necessarily pure altruistic or whatever. And sometimes we mostly tell the truth. And I mean, so what you're saying is AIs are a lot like everyday humans that we run into, in that they have, just the same sort of,
with no limitations.
That's the concern. So that's why it's like you should just, again, you don't want it. I mean, you want it to be the slave, not the master. You don't want it, and that's why like the movie War Games was so much fun. Matthew Broderick, like, let's not put our entire nuclear arsenal up into a computer. And let the computer decide when to launch the nukes. We should actually have a human that flips the switch. That's why.
I guess the whole reason this guy came on is like, we are not in control of this thing right now, and all of the top people working on it are kind of in alignment on that. And it's just a race to whoever can get the slaves to train the other slaves.
Like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musks, all these guys also have, like, I would say, a distorted notion of what the human nature is.
Right, that's my point. Exactly.
Sure. Well, they think we're going to merge with humans. Like Sam Altman wrote a book back in 2017, wrote a blog post that we're going to merge.
Well, I already am a human. You mean we're going to merge with
computers? Yes, he's like, we're going to merge. In 2017, he said that's the end goal. If we don't merge, we're going to get completely replaced. Like, we're going to be bootloaders for the next whatever.
Yeah, no,
it's so crazy. I can't believe that we're even like, how did we get here? That no one, like, were these people just not like noogied in elementary school or something? Like, who let these people out? I don't know. Someone should have sat them down. But like,
but I'm just saying, like, it's, I suppose we could get to a thing like, Terminator, where like, Skynet takes over everything and we have to run to the hills, maybe, or maybe it's not as, life transformative as these super, nerds who didn't get bullied in school, think it's going to be. Like, oh, it's just going to be okay. Yeah, maybe not, brother. Just take a pill.
Hope so, Josh. Wait, what did the Pope say about the printing press? Erika, you went into that.
Okay.
As I just want to hear it, basically. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so I think that it's helpful, like I said, to look at analogies in history of when there was like a massive societal shift as a result of technology. Upheaval. I mean, yeah, and I know, Tom, you're saying like this isn't quite the same thing. Of course not. Like, you don't repeat. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And when Johannes Gutenberg like got the technology from the Chinese and he like blew it up in Europe, I don't think there was any kind of sense that, okay, this is going to be the end of an era, right? And it was. The printing press was really the end of the tradition era, the medieval world. And so 1450, we get the Gutenberg Bible, right? 1454, some people argue about that. And there's this letter of the 12th of March, 1455, from Aeneas Silvio Piccolomini, great name, the future Pope Pius II, to another cardinal who he's working for. This letter is actually the only extant source we have for how many Gutenberg Bibles were originally printed. It was 180. But he praises Gutenberg as a marvelous man. He's really excited because he can actually read the print in the Bible. He's like, this is so much better than the little monk scrawl. And he was very, very excited about it. He was a total champion. And he becomes Pope a few years later. He's a champion of the humanist cause. And he's the Renaissance is like flourishing in Europe, and he's really excited about it. And then, of course, a war completely like derails his efforts to get the printing press off the print off the road, because we have the fall of Constantinople. So this is good. Like, everything's like hunky-dory. The church is like, great, new technology. We're going to be able to print stuff. This can read the Bible now. And then in about 50 years, we start to get a little nervous. The printing press is like this mind-altering information revolution of literacy. And it's reached down into the masses now. So at this point, Pope Alexander goes to the other extreme. And Pope Alexander is like, we're going to excommunicate anyone who prints texts without church approval, because this is toxic to your soul and toxic to your mind. And yes, this was prescient, in 1501 for him to say this, because of course, 17 years later or 16 years later in 1517, we get the 95 Theses nailed to the door of Wittenberg Cathedral, Martin Luther, John Calvin. And so it's this bizarre thing where the technology is just let loose, and all the good ideas are in print, the Bible, and all the bad ideas are in print, John Calvin, Martin Luther, and it just upends Europe. And we end up with 500 years of wars. Like, it is just, it's devastating. We also get 1557, the first index of prohibited books, which is one of the liberals' favorite things that they bash the church over the head with. It's like, you had a list of books Catholics couldn't read, which is not exactly what it was. It was a list of books that contained ideas that were inimical to the Catholic faith. One of the best things on the index was Machiavelli. Anything by Machiavelli, don't read it. And probably would have been good if we'd heeded that advice. Machiavelli is one of the worst guys ever.
I read The Prince.
Yeah, I did too. But you read it after the damage had been done, like 500 years.
You know
after
what's funny?
The damage
Okay,
had
so the
been
printing press. You're bringing this up with the printing press. And someone in the chat was like,
Yeah.
"How are we going to know if anything's real?" Because AI is able to generate stuff that's wrong. And I guess I was thinking about that. They probably had the same concerns at the time. Like, what if anyone had now the power to put something in writing? I saw like mind altering was a term that someone used.
Mind altering.
So I guess maybe that's I don't know if that's comforting in a sense, but like people dealt with that problem. The problem isn't the fact that you can generate more. The problem is you need an authenticity solution.
Yes.
I don't know, like there are certain things like blockchain that are kind of modern versions of authenticity. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of like, the problem is with any innovation is that it gets obviously out ahead of regulatory, and people are so bad at regulating things unless something horrific happens and like, okay, something horrific happened. This is the failure. We all felt the hurt. Okay, everyone's on board. We're just going to stop this. But until you
usually we stumble to the right solution after exhausting every other possibility.
Yes.
Now I would say this, Pope Leo took the name Leo precisely because, in homage to Pope Leo the 13th, who was coming, of this era of this great, industrial, another era of upheaval because of the Industrial Revolution and the effect it has on wages as people were leaving agrarian societies and becoming more industrial and urban. And that caused a lot of change and upheaval. And we're facing a similar situation with that because of AI. And that's exactly why, he took the name Pope Leo. And he's spending these weeks on his, summer vacation at Castel Gandolfo. He is actually reading this, and I think he's consulting with some of the greatest minds in the world. And I do think he's actually preparing, an encyclical. That would be my guess. I'm not like I have any inside baseball here on the the opportunities, but also potential pitfalls of expanding artificial intelligence. So when I look forward to that, I look forward to what he has to say to make sure that we can do this in a way that can expand the mind, expand the different opportunities we have, but not undercut human dignity. And of anyone like Pope Leo, like you look on, people have been using AI to make spoof videos of him that and people email us all the time like, did you see this? Is this real? Like, no, it's not real.
It's AI.
That was an AI. Yeah. But there's a lot of people like, gosh, I thought that was real,
The Aurelius was real.
Yeah, I wanted to just say one more thing about the authenticity question, right? And that as AI develops, that there's just going to be such a premium on in-person, in print, like events and resources. But we talk a lot here right now about the Catholic moment, right? And Josh, you were able to share with our champions, Catholic Vote champions. They get the Insider now, which I'm so excited for the return of the Insider. If you are not a champion, you should totally become a champion, because then once a week, you're going to hear directly from Kelsey Reinhardt, our fearless president. Lots of good information there. But in this week's issue, she shared some of her speech, The Catholic Moment. And I was thinking about this in relation to AI.
She gave it the Napa Institute.
She gave it the Napa Institute. Very cool. But I was thinking about this in relation to AI and how the Catholic faith is the answer to the authenticity question. You just think of why is the church in existence? It exists to bring Jesus Christ in the sacraments to human persons. And what do you need for sacraments? You need form and matter, right? You can't virtualize the sacraments and the saving grace that we get through those. You have to be in person for confession and absolution. You have to have water for baptism. You need bread and wine and to consume it into your body. The Catholic faith is the answer to the crisis of authenticity that AI brings. So this is absolutely a Catholic moment. And I would say only the Catholic faith of all the faiths in the world right now has that answer. Obviously the Orthodox Brethren as well have the physical sacraments. But this is a really exciting opportunity as well.
Awesome. Josh, I got a nerd question for you, and then I want another nerd question for Brian Birch. Okay. So I saw this in the New York Times. Texas Republicans unveiled gerrymandered House map trying to please Trump. The proposed map would give Republicans a chance to gain 5 U.S. House seats, including in Houston, Dallas, and along the U.S.-Mexican border. This is not only going on in Texas. I think they had a map, or no, they don't have a map in here.
Missouri's trying to do something too.
When I see headlines like this, first off, what is gerrymandering? And then is it like a sneaky, oh, we can pick up more seats by doing backdoor, type stuff?
There's several different things that are going on. So gerrymandering, there actually was a guy, Elbridge Gerry, and he was in Massachusetts, and he created this map, and he basically carved these districts in these weird looking ways, one of which looked like a salamander. And someone goes, look, it's a gerrymander. So it was a combination of his name.
Is that really how gerrymandering? No
that is
way,
amazing.
Dude. That's awesome.
I'm so happy right now.
What a nugget.
I
love
am here
America.
for you, Tom.
No
I am
way.
here
America.
for you. But he crafted this map because he's like, I want to try to have it so that my political party will win as many seats as possible. Because you can imagine a nice map where you have 100 people and you have to make 5 districts, and you can carve districts of 20 people, but you can do it in such a way that the red team wins all 5 seats, or the blue team wins all 5 seats, or that all 5 seats are totally competitive and it's anyone's game. It just depends on how you draw the lines, and the politicians draw the lines. This is what I'm getting at. Politicians elect the voters, in a sense, through gerrymandering rather than the other way around. And so what's going on is you could have a situation. This is why Democrats are freaking out. They're like, wait a minute now. Texas is 45% Democrat, and under this arrangement, they would only get 5 of the 40 or so seats. So they would only get like 8% of the House seats, but they would be 45% of the people. And people are like, that's patently unfair. And Republicans would be like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about California? California, which has a map that's drawn up by a nonpartisan panel, and there's 45% of Californians are Republican, and yet they have like 17% of the seats.
Right.
Very nonpartisan commission there. And so you run into this kind of situation in many of these states. Illinois, they gerrymander like crazy. Republicans are like 42% of the population, and they have like 3 seats of the 17. So and then another thing, by the way, the U.S. Census Bureau completely flubbed during the pandemic the counting of the difference, the census of the people of our country. So that was a disaster. They've kind of admitted that they made the mistake, and so we have districts in blue states that they have more districts than they should have had, and states like North Carolina got snubbed. And so what these states are doing is, like, Republicans are like, hey, you played hardball with redistricting, we're going to play hardball. And so Texas is like, hey, you know what? We can draw this line and pick up a few more seats. By the way, you know who really, the Democrats have played hardball in this for a long time. Not that Republicans were like perfectly fair either. I'm not trying to suggest that. But man, Democrats up the ante, coming into the 2020 elections. And so Republicans are like, forget this. We're going to fight harder. And Ron DeSantis was the one on the Republican side that really pushed through a very aggressive map, like a 25, like 7 map or something like that. Right. I forget what the number was. And people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did it. And he muscled it through. Rhinos in the legislature, this is like 4 years ago, were like, no, we can't do this. And DeSantis was like, yeah, you can. And he got his way, and he got a very aggressive gerrymander in the Republicans' favor. And that's the only reason Republicans have the House of majority right now. It's because Ron DeSantis put through a tough gerrymander. And so Trump's like, yeah, Texas, you should do this. And Missouri, it's like, what is it? 7-2, Republican majority. And Trump's like, yeah, why don't you make that, instead of 7-2, make it 8-1.
So to
And
clarify,
they probably could. They could
Mhm.
crack Kansas City in half and splinter it. So, I mean, both
Are you
parties play
saying-
this game.
right. So you're saying both sides do it. So you're, whether you're pro or against it, it's just like, this is the game. And then if you're in power, you should try your best to create the most favorable congressional map possible for your party, is essentially the game right now. Are you saying, okay, and then that's the
And
game,
there's some
yes or
people,
no, and then
there's some conservatives who will say, no, you should do the right thing every time, no matter what. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to play asymmetrical warfare. So if I
what do you mean do the right thing? Is that considered wrong or illegal to gerrymander?
It's not illegal. It's not. No. I
So
mean, it's considered unseemly. And, you know, like, well, I mean, I don't know. I'll sleep well at night. Sorry.
Wait, so you're saying it's unseemly? I don't even understand really the problem with this. It's like, wouldn't you want to create the most advantageous situation for your party as possible if you're in part? Like
normally,
the Democrats
so
do it,
what
the
this
Republicans
gets
do it.
to,
So
like Barack Obama, I think, is the one that really created the environment where do whatever you can while you have the opportunity to do it, and so that you can, you know, nothing matters. Just go ahead and do it. If you have the power and ability to do it, do it. And that was because of the healthcare thing. Like the warning always has been, just because you have the votes and have the ability to do something, you should still be chastened by the fact that, no, wait a minute, what happens when I lose power? And
Exactly.
Barack Obama and Harry Reid, when he was in charge of the Senate, the Democrats, they never thought like that. And Nancy Pelosi, they're like, do whatever you can, because they thought they had the demographic destiny on their side. There's that book that came out that talked about the permanent Democratic majority, and that Democrats really thought, as more and more Latinos were coming online, you know, because 30 years ago, the percentage of Latinos was maybe like 8%. Now it's like 13%. Now it's 15%. Soon it's going to be 20%. And they don't vote like 90-10 like the blacks, but they're like 80-20. And they just thought, I mean, eventually Republicans are going to be extinct like the dodo bird.
Right.
So why are we just waiting around? Like, let's get what we can, and 5 years from now we'll have even more Democrats. And so that they changed the game. Because they're always, before this, you were always like, okay, wait a minute now. If we as the majority exert this new thing, if we break this custom and we do this new thing, boy, 2 years from now or 4 years from now, we might be out of power. And then they're going to shove it in our face and they're going to smash us. Take example. It used to be that you had the ability to filibuster a Supreme Court nominee or a cabinet position, right? And, you know, it was only to be used in egregious examples, like Abe Fortas in the 60s. He was a terrible judge. It was good to filibuster this guy. Don't let him get on there. Okay. But that was exercised at that time. But then after that, it wasn't done all the time. It was still like, oh, I mean, it was still considered white. I mean, whoa. Don't just use that power no matter what. You got to only use it sparingly. And so when you use it, people go, okay, well,
I guess it was really bad.
It was for good reason. And Democrats come along and they're like, what if we just started filibustering everybody? Like Miguel Estrada, he's going up for not even the Supreme Court. He was going up for circuit court judge. And we know that George W. Bush wants to make him the first conservative Latino on the Supreme Court. So we'll just stop him, even though he's eminently qualified. There's no skeletons or in his closet. And so they exerted power when it was like, you're absolutely violating like the sort of common agreement that we have.
Decency, right? Like civil discourse. Yes.
And so then Harry Reid finally says, screw this. We're going to nuke the filibuster so that you can't filibuster things. And Mitch McConnell's like, yo, you may really come to regret this.
Yeah.
And it might be a lot sooner than you think. And so they ended up, Democrats get rid of the filibuster for judicial nominations, but not the Supreme Court ones, so that they could ram through a bunch of lower judges for Obama. And then what happened? 15 months later, Republicans win the Senate. And they go, and they put the stop on everything. And then Trump gets elected and there's no filibuster, and they start cramming these judges through. But then Democrats like, but we still have the filibuster for Supreme Court, so we're going to put that on. And like, oh, well, McConnell's like, you nuked the filibuster once before, we'll just extend it. And
so, Josh, this is a fantastic segue. I'm still confused of the Brian Burch saga. I saw this headline: Leader Thune filed cloture on executive calendar number 100, Brian Burch to be ambassador for the Holy See. He's been kind of stalled for a while, as I understand. I feel like this is kind of procedural warfare again. What does this even mean?
Okay, so there's a lot of positions. Like, if you want to nominate somebody, like in the case of my friend Brian for Ambassador of the Holy See, if you want somebody for Secretary of Defense, even the lower cabinet positions like Undersecretary for Treasury, all of those positions have to be confirmed by the Senate. By the way, if you want to have somebody be a 1-star general to a 2-star general, that has to be done by the Senate. So you can imagine there's just tons of these things that have to get done, thousands of things every year, right? Just because you've got this big. So what normally would happen is, the Senate Majority Leader would say, I got a list of guys here that I would like to get confirmed, without objection, I'd like to get them, confirmed. I asked the Senate to pass this resolution, and then they would say, okay, unless there's objection, and if no one objects, then done. Then you can pass like 100 of these at a time, just like that, instantly. But all it takes is one of them to go, I object. And then you have to okay, wait. Then you talk to the guy. Okay, well, what is there someone on the list that you don't like? Yeah, I don't like that guy right there. Like, okay, well then, dude, just tell me. I'll take that guy off the list, and then we'll pass the other 200. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. So then they get up there. These 199. Can I pass them? Yep, everyone's fine. Okay, boom. Then you got all these things done and cleared, right? And then the person that's controversial, you put it on a different calendar and you wait, and then you file cloture on that. In this case, Brian Burch. So every single pick for ambassador, every single pick has been objected to by the senator from Hawaii, Brian Schatz, who thinks what Donald Trump and Marco Rubio have done on USAID is just an abomination. So he said, in retribution, I'm putting a hold. I'm going to object. I will not allow the ambassadors to be approved by unanimous consent, like in a group. I'm going to make you have to take your time on each and every last one of those. So then, because he's opposed to every ambassadorial pick, the Senate Majority Leader has to file cloture on it. He did that last night for Brian. So that it now needs to, by the rules of the Senate, has to ripen for 2 days. You have to let 2 business days pass. You can't just get it done real fast. Then after 2 business days pass, then he can invoke cloture. So sometime like Saturday at 7 p.m. or something like that, Thune could invoke cloture, and then it starts the clock. Then there's 2 hours of debate. And the Republicans during the debate could talk about how awesome Brian is. The Democrats could say how horrible he is. Or they could talk about whatever else they want to talk about. You just got to wait 2 hours. And at the end of the 2 hours, then you call for the vote. And if you won the first vote to invoke cloture, then the second vote probably will get passed. So at that point, it's either Saturday night or early Sunday or something like that. He could be the next ambassador. But the idea is Democrats have objected to these unanimous consent agreements so that so that you could do just a batch of these together. Again, this is what I'm getting at. You have a custom. Like, if you really want to grind the Senate to a halt, then every single sub-cabinet position, it's not tenable. So then the Senate either has to say, the Senate Republicans who are in control have to say, this, we can't operate like this. We've got well over 250 people that are waiting for a vote. And if we're going to have to wait 2 days and then 2 hours for each one,
it'll be 15 years.
It'll be forever. It'll be forever. So my recommendation personally would be that you should have telegraphed this with the House, and then you should actually do an actual recess of the Senate. The whole month of August, you could have said, we're out, which is actually what they do. But what the Senate actually does is every day they come in and they open up in August, this month of August, what the plan was, they'd have a pro forma session of the Senate for like 4 minutes. The Senate comes to session. Okay, hi, it's August 21, blah, 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 blah. Okay, gavel it, and then you adjourn. The reason why they do this, when Republicans took the Senate and Obama was still president, they made sure that the Senate was never adjourned in recess for more than 3 days, because then Obama could. He was planning on putting Elizabeth Warren, and in fact did a recess appointment of Elizabeth Warren as head of the consumer fraud group or whatever. Oh. And so the Republicans said, no, you can't do that. We never recessed for more than 3 days, and the Supreme Court agreed. So if the Senate never recesses formally for 3 days and doesn't have these like pro forma sessions for 3 days, then the president can never make these recess appointments. But my point is, dude, it's a Republican president.
Right. So why?
And you own the Senate. So why don't you actually formally recess, and then Trump could just, in 3 days, do a recess appointments for like 1,000 people.
Okay, you got the recess
problem,
appointments.
I think.
Yeah. Why don't they do it?
Well, we do have a few rhinos in the Senate. You may have heard
Yeah,
of this.
they hate Trump.
You have people like Murkowski out of Alaska, Susan Collins in Maine. She's not super conservative anyway. So some of these guys are like, do we really, Donald Trump is kind of a loose cannon. He might just recess appointments, some of the craziest. So we kind of like to make sure he doesn't put someone totally wacko. That's probably what about a handful of these Republicans in the Senate think. So my point with it is like, well, if that's not an option that you want, then you got to come up with something else. Like you got to just decide, like instead of debating for 2 hours for sub-cabinet posts, like maybe an ambassador pick, okay, 2 hours of debate. But like undersecretary of Treasury, like 15 minutes. Like why do you need more than 15 minutes? Like
also
say what you got to say.
Another question. So for the undersecretary cabinet, like I think I saw something about Mayorkas, like there's still people in DHS that are Biden holdovers. Is that what happens to these under positions?
Yeah. So what Trump needs to do, I would say, is go in and fire them or relieve them, and then put in acting people in each of these positions. And that's sort of what he's done a lot, but it just takes a while. You need people. You need your guy in there. Like he's got his Tom Holman and he's got Kristi Noem, and they're doing a lot of stuff. They're securing the border. And you need people in there as well to kind of take care of the personnel.
Very interesting. So why couldn't Thune, sorry, I'm just going to take longer on this because I think this is so ridiculous. Why couldn't Thune go to the holdouts, Merck, whatever, and be like, hey, who are the people that you find to be unseemly or you wouldn't want?
No, that was that's why they won't do a recess.
I understand, but why can't you just be like, hey, Merck, like which appointments do you not want? Okay.
That's probably not understanding. Like what they would rather do is go to the Democrats and say, like, let's come up with a deal, because otherwise we're going to drag this out forever. And like, if there's like 10 of these people you really, really hate, let's debate those and you can talk about that. But the other batch of like hundreds of nominees that there's no real objection to, what do you need? What do you need to get us to just be able to
staff these positions?
So they're all proved together. And if you really, Brian, we gotta oppose Brian Burch. So you want your 2 hours to debate how horrible, then fine. But the other 90% of these guys, just let them get approved. What I was getting at with the recess appointment is if the Senate did actually formally adjourn in actual recess that allowed the president of the United States to make recess appointments. I'm not talking about the 300 that are already waiting for approval. I'm talking about the X number of other people. They have no idea. So Trump could say, I want Alex Jones to put in this position. Like, whoa, like someone that's not even on the table yet. That's my point. They're afraid of what they don't even. They're afraid of what they can't even imagine him doing.
That would be something
concerning.
Alex Jones, FCC chairman,
Alex Jones. I'm getting at. Like,
that kind of be awesome.
There's enough Republicans that are like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay,
he is unpredictable.
All right, thank you for the education on that. I still think it's stupid. I think Brian should be in the Vatican right now, doing the will of the American people. But minority opinion, I guess, in the Senate. Good news.
Well, I think Erika. It looks like it'll happen this weekend. So
okay, good.
That's the good news.
That is the good news.
It'd be great to have something to celebrate Monday when we hit the ground running here.
Okay.
Okay, the good news is America is getting back in shape, baby. The presidential fitness test has returned to the public schools. President Trump signed an executive order this week, and it's back, baby. Originally initiated by President Eisenhower in 1956, President Obama, of course, got rid of it in 2012. But yeah, the Trump administration is back, and Harrison Butker, our friend, LOOPcast alumnus, he is back in the White House. This is great.
I think didn't Trump say like something about how good looking he was? He's like, he's so handsome. It's not really my thing, but still,
he's a handsome guy.
Look, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him in person. Yeah, the rumors are true. There you go.
Good looking guy.
Obviously, very excited to be here. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to serve on the council. Just excited to do my part to help make America healthy again, to help our youth be healthy and thrive and grow up and be great citizens of this country and be great family members and contribute to this great country. And I think you have to be strong in mind, in body, and soul. So thank you so much for allowing.
And there's Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah. And RFK. There's RFK, JD Vance. I mean, there's a lot of Catholics up there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And just to be clear, we're all talking about. Oh, Sorry, it's still going. This is like the box that I remember taking this in elementary school. There was a box you had to stretch
Yeah.
on.
There's a box you had
And
to stretch on.
I remember
We
being
didn't have a
really bad
box.
at it.
We did
And
not have a box.
Here's a quick. So could you pass the presidential fitness test today? We're going to test the LOOPcast, see if you can. Okay.
Yeah, this one that's actually kind of hard to go through, but I have the actual like checklist in front of
If it
me.
involves pull-ups,
Okay.
then the answer is a negative.
Yeah.
We have the mile run or walk a mile at challenging pace and time yourself.
Yep, the 1 mile run. So like this was, if you were a senior in high school, females, you had to run or walk a mile, run a mile in, I think it was 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Totally could have done that in high school. Not sure I could do that today.
Run a mile in 18 minutes?
No, 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
Oh, 8 minutes. Okay, that's lucky.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not
and for
fast.
the guys, so when you were a senior, for the guys, it was 6 minutes and 6 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's kind of fast. I'm not
That's
gonna lie.
really fast.
I think I could do it, but I would be dead after for sure.
Yeah. I mean, this was no joke. So then we had the
This is in the 60s, or is this when it got discontinued?
This is 1985. I pulled it up from when I was like in kindergarten. So,
Okay. All right.
yep. Pull-ups, Pogo. You have 1 minute. Can you do 13 pull-ups on the hard way, the boy ones?
Yes. So not a chin-up pull-up. So not
So
underhand grip.
boys, it's this way. And
Okay,
girls, it's this way.
Okay.
Girls,
Okay.
for the girls though, for the senior girls, it was any guesses on how many for the girls?
3?
1.
1. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for women to do pull-ups.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah,
But for
that's the
someone
way
that's
we're built.
lard ass like me.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Tom passing 2, probably Josh at 0.
I think I've done 2 in my life.
There you go.
Hey, I'm sure you could do a mean squat, Josh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Then there was right angle push-ups. So if you were a boy, a right angle push-up, 53 in 1 minute. That's booking.
That's
right?
quick. 53 in a minute?
Yeah. I mean, this was hard. And for the girls, 25. So we had, but that, I mean, even 25 in 60 seconds, that's
Okay.
booking it on the push-up. So this was a real thing. And for kids who qualified, I'm not going to go through all of the standards, but this is tough. I think this is great.
Wait, what else is there? I want
Okay. We've also got
Yeah, so
shuttle.
what would happen if you didn't get it passed? That you were ineligible. It's a presidential fitness test. So if you couldn't get this done, you were ineligible to run for president.
All right. Yeah, that must be what it was. No, you just don't get the cool piece of paper and your name in the local newspaper and all that good stuff. Yeah, there's also like shuttle runs, curl ups, V-sit reaches.
Yeah,
sit
these
and
V-sit reaches is what I was talking about. Like, why did
Yeah,
okay,
that's
but
the
why did we
box.
all have to
Yeah.
do these to impress George W. Bush? Like, why did he care? This one, out of all of them, was the hardest for me. I was not flexible,
Very tough.
and I remember this one being brutal. I love the shuttle run though. I was a short king through and through, so I was very quick, low to the ground. So
Yeah, I mean these were high standards.
all right, shout out to the boy Harrison. Harrison also, he's got to be. I mean, he's now at the White House. He's been a couple times, won a couple Super Bowls, and then he's with Hawley and stuff. I mean, he for sure has a future in politics. He's good looking, very well spoken.
He actually started a political action committee.
I was gonna say, I don't think he's subtle anymore.
Upright
I think he
Pat.
for sure is gonna be.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely here
That's
for
a
it.
clever name. You know, he's a kicker.
Upright.
Upright
Well
Pat.
done.
We got that. Yeah.
Well done. Okay, Josh.
Okay, so why is this good news? I'll get to it. But like Sam Steen, he writes for the Bulwark. He's a lefty. He's with MSNBC. He posts this article. Someone else wrote it, but he was like championing the article. His name is Jesus. I mean, it's actually Jesus, but his name is Jesus. He's a carpenter. ICE arrested him. So it's like,
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
That's subtle.
And so Dylan Hausman, editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller, comes to the rescue and said, "When's the last time you attended church?" And Sam goes, "Oh boy, Dylan, I hate to break this to you." And Dylan says, "Don't worry, Sam. It was a rhetorical question. I'm aware you're only interested in Jesus Christ as a clickbait political cudgel." I mean, Dylan
Accurate.
doing the Lord's work. I mean, and just like people like the replies in this were like, "I would like to report a murder." I mean, it was just so good, dude. And I can't help but bring back my favorite of all the memes ever.
Oh, the Reddit one? It's the best.
Let more refugees in because Jesus said to be compassionate in the Bible somewhere. No, I'm not a Christian, and I have nothing but contempt for your backward beliefs. So
Yep.
yeah, this argument wouldn't work on me, but maybe if it could, I could use it and work on you, and I'll get what I want. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, my cup. I know we have a little interruption. My cup and my so everybody, my camera is mirrored, so you're not gonna be able to read this very well. And it's also
I
why
can.
you all think
Abby
I cross
Roast.
myself with my left hand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Abby Roast. Abby Roast. And there it's a bunch of it's a coffee thing and it's a bunch of monks. So I feel like I can give a free advertisement.
Okay, free ads. I was gonna say Abbey Rose. No free
Dude,
ads.
they
Abbey
have a
Rose, call
Valve
us up.
property and they're awesome and the coffee's really good.
We still
And
Okay,
they
get
sent me
free
this mug.
coffee.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Love my coffee.
Vow of free coffee is what we have here. Okay, I donate my
Well,
good
why did you
news.
say that it's a mirror, Erika? Was there a point to that?
Oh,
Oh,
I
well,
think you
'cause-
were gone. There's an episode where people were asking why Erika crossed herself with her left hand.
My left
at
hand.
the end of the show.
It's actually my right hand, but it's
And they
mirrored.
thought she was a part of a different rite of Catholicism because of it.
got
Like she
you.
was a part of a cool one, the Erika rite. Okay, my good news. I want to just basically hand the floor to Erika. So St. John Henry Newman expect to be named Doctor of the Church, joining saints like Augustine, Catherine, and Therese. And there's James D. Connolly talking about how he's been my friend since before I was Catholic. He's my favorite saint, and I even chose his motto as my own. Heart speaks to heart. This is one of those things I feel like universally everyone's like, this is sick, this is awesome, which is kind of rare. And I actually don't know a ton about John Henry Newman, but Erika does and is
my
fired
gosh.
up on him. So why should I also be excited about this development?
All right, you should be massively pumped about John Henry Newman being elevated to Doctor of the Church,
Okay.
because I think you would really like your take on things, Tom. Enemy of liberalism, like
Awesome.
foe of all that is untrue and ugly.
Sign me up.
This guy was great. And so I just want to like preface this with, over the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot from leftist Catholic resources and sources such as like Stephen Colbert and the National Catholic Reporter about how Newman said that your conscience, you just follow your conscience and you can do whatever the hell you want. Changing church doctrine changes. And so eventually we'll all just be able to contracept and fornicate all we want. And 3, he was gay. So he's the first gay church doctor of the church. All of these are false. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. They're all just like pushing their narratives. So these are co-opting Newman for partisan ends. It's been going on forever. So who was he really? Okay, so he was born in 1801 and he lived like the entire 19th century. He was a very long-lived man, died in 1890, convert from Anglicanism at a time when that was very uncool in England, and Catholic cardinal. He was a leader in the Oxford movement, which was sort of this move in England to re-Catholicize the Anglican Church and bring it back to its roots. And he's so beautiful. I mean, the writings from this era, actually my favorite work of his comes from this era before he was even Catholic. It was called The Arians of the 4th Century. And it is a master class in not just this historical movement. Oh, my children opened a window. Sorry if you hear my children in the background.
We love them. It's all right.
Yep.
They're very cute.
Pro-life show.
And they're happy. They're playing soccer or something. But anyway, so Newman, he writes about really just how heresy happens in general and how bishops are usually the last ones to catch on to the fact that heresy is bad. And it's really the laymen and the clergy on the ground in the parishes who are the protectors of orthodoxy. So during that period, already a massive towering intellect in Catholicism. Then he becomes Catholic and he is seen as a traitor because he's an Anglican priest, right? And he's very well regarded in Oxford. He loses everything. He loses his career. He loses being a priest and a pastor, prestige, relationships, dear friendships, loses everything. Goes and joins St. Philip Neri's oratory. And people think of Newman as like this really heavy intellectual, but he joins St. Philip Neri's oratory, Philip Neri being like the saint of the smile and mischief. And he joined this very happy community of guys. And he loves Philip Neri. He founds his own oratories. He helps found the Catholic University in Ireland later on. That's when we get Idea of University, which is probably his most famous work here in the United States, his work in education, but just an all around massive intellect coupled with personal holiness, Pope Benedict XVI actually went to England. It was the first time a pope had visited England in hundreds of years. And he went there to beatify, for the beatification of John Henry Newman. And he paid special tribute to his vision for education and his love of the laity. He wrote, this is Benedict now, "Blessed John Henry's famous appeal for an intelligent, well-instructed laity," quote, he said, "I want a laity not arrogant, not rash in speech, not disputatious, but men who know their religion, who enter into it, who know just where they stand, who know what they hold and what they do not, who know their creed so well they can give an account of it, who know so much of history that they can defend it." And that was, I mean, the guy could write. This was, he was a poet. Okay, so where should I start? I had Rosie, our producer, was asking me, I don't know Newman, where should I start? There is a great, I don't often tout our Sunday Visitor, great guys, but they have a fantastic Newman reader. A Newman reader from OSV, we should put it in the chat. And it's great because he does have writings like Grammar of Assent, Development of Christian Doctrine, that are very deep philosophical. Like, I need to diagram all the sentences in those just to know where my subject and verb are, because it's very, very intellectual. But this one is a great mix of letters, essays, homilies, sermons, a few poems. He was a great poet. So I just can't. This is the greatest news. The 38th Doctor of the Church is John Henry Newman. And my favorite sermon, I know Arians of the 4th Century, my favorite book, but he had a sermon on tolerance is cruelty. I think Mercer would really like. So I'm going to send that one to Josh to read this weekend.
Beautiful.
Tolerance is cruelty.
You have a favorite Doctor of the Church?
That's hard to say. I feel like as a female, I need to go with like one of the 4 ladies, perhaps.
You don't have to. My
I
favorite
don't have
doctor is a
to.
woman, though.
Of the women, I would say
Josh,
Teresa of
very
Avila.
famous. Okay.
Yeah. Like of the women, Teresa of Avila.
I was gonna say.
I do love my Teresa.
Josh,
She
what a
was
feminist! What an ally,
on my
Josh.
bookshelf.
Yeah, she's on the shelf behind Josh. Yeah,
Wow.
I have Newman behind me on the shelf. You can't really see it in the frame here.
Nice.
But I think he's about to become my favorite.
Josh is begging me to show this too.
It's the Catholic Seinfeld where the new doctor meets St. Jerome. Hello, Newman. Hello,
awesome.
Jerry.
Hello, Jerry.
Yeah.
Why does
why
does St. Jerome have this cool hat on?
Why wouldn't he?
I mean, he's in heaven.
I don't know
He
if
can
that
wear
was like
whatever he
was he Eastern or something? Eastern, right? I'm not sure.
No, that's the old Cardinals hat. In fact, it's still on a lot of Cardinals coat of arms. Over the coat of arms of Cardinals, you'll see that version of the red hat with the little tassels.
Looks like they got the Knights of Columbus treatment. They took away their cool stuff.
I
Now
know.
they just wear
I'm not going to comment on that.
It's true. I say it all the time.
On that, she'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'll continue to say it. Knights of Columbus. the whole reason anyone would join is to get the sword and the cool feather, and neither exist anymore. So, okay, Twilight Zone. Oh, Josh, you're gonna do this?
Oh no! I just saw what you're doing.
Josh.
What?
This is tough. All right, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, in our august chamber, the world's greatest deliberative body, Senator Liz Warren, and actually, I'm not making fun of her in this case, but she leaned back on something and it wasn't strong enough to hold her, and then she falls. And like, I'm not making fun of her. Okay, here's the point I would like to make. Watch this happen. I mean, and I could do
Senators
this.
voting in the affirmative.
It's
Baldwin, Rochester,
embarrassing.
Durbin.
It could have happened to me.
Heinrich.
But what I'd like to notice here,
Corona.
the Democratic men stood and watched her, whereas the Republican men like Ted Cruz were running to help her.
They ran over to help her.
Okay, I like the alternative take on this.
Democratic masculinity, folks, on display. Watch it again. Look at Ted Cruz.
All right, we'll take another look.
Again.
We'll run it back.
Right.
Senators voting in the affirmative.
Oh, there she goes.
Baldwin.
Rochester. Ted Cruz.
Durbin.
Come on.
Heinrich.
Guys are just
right there to help out.
Corona.
Who's in the wheelchair?
Well, that would be the senator from Tammy Duckworth. She's handicapped. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait. Someone's saying we didn't explain what was going on. I thought we did. There's a vote going on. Elizabeth Warren leaned on something and fell over. during this vote.
She thought she was leaning against one of the desks that were nailed down, but it was just a side thing, and so she leaned on it, and it flipped over, and it was, it's embarrassing. I'm not making fun of her. I mean, I honestly could have had something like this happen to me. What I just found particularly instructive was that the natural inclination for conservative leaning men like run to the rescue, like help somebody. They fell down, and the other guys were like, the Democrat men were like, oh wow, look at that. Dude,
I do like
yelled at them
that
so
you're
much
not going to
for
make
being
fun of
men.
her because listen, hand up, I've done the same thing. I for sure like leaned on something kind of like that and taking that fall. I thought it was going to be a comment on the geriatric nature of the world's most powerful deliberative body, which is true, but it's low hanging fruit. So I like that you went with a little bit more of an alternative, true masculinity. It's like the Democrats in the congressional baseball game bunting with 2 strikes and 2 outs. Down.
Yeah, that was
10.
not a good idea.
Little
Although
bit.
you like a good bunt.
Even I know not to do that.
And I shared on my Facebook page, with my friends here, something happened 10 years ago. To me, is very important. I was playing backyard wiffle ball and laid on the perfect bunt.
You bunted during wiffle ball?
I did, and I cleared the bases.
You're
baby.
done.
Right.
That's just there's certain things you shouldn't admit.
You got to go private conversation sometimes. That's what I'm trying to say.
I can't believe you admit that in a public forum.
He's a very
that is
man.
like
That's
right
humility
to the soul.
right there.
I cannot believe you bunt in a wiffle ball game. I would kick you out of the friend group from that, dude. You'd be done. You're never playing wiffle ball with us again if you laid out a bunt. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was the real Twilight Zone. Was that ever happened to a man that claims to be a man? Erika, your Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. Well, first I'm excited because the people of California will not be forced to choose between Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris announced this week she will not be running for governor of the great state of California, but she has been doing a lot of thinking. She's been reflecting and she's been writing. And there, yes, on your screen, you can see Kamala promoting her new book coming out. It is called 107 Days. The shortest, what is it called? The subtitle, I can't read anymore. The shortest presidential campaign in U.S. history.
Yes. That's one way of putting it.
It was short.
Most expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. So guess who? She's making the rounds. She's promoting the book because this is an insider's view of the Democratic Party. So who does she get on with? Well, Stephen Colbert. And I thought our friend Jonathan Turley had the best take on this. He wrote, Colbert is having Harris next as a guest on his show. It was last night. The host who lost $40 million a year interviewing the candidate who burned through over $1 billion in losing the last election. I mean, they're like made for each other. It was great.
Just as a slight correction, though, Gavin Newsom cannot run.
You are correct.
He's term limited, yeah.
So they don't have to have either of them. I'm sure California will come up with brilliant candidates.
But
I'm sure.
So the implication is that she's running now, right?
I think he's definitely running for president in 2028.
Like if you're not going to take that in 2026, you're going to run
If you
for president.
watched, which I know you intended to, if you had watched her interview with Colbert, he asked her this.
I definitely did not.
And
But go ahead.
Why not? No, I mean, and she said that she laughed hysterically in her Kamala way, as she is wont to do after a few stiff ones, and said that, she has always been a public servant, which to me means she's running.
So,
I mean, honestly, she has a very good chance of becoming the next Democratic nominee.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because, there's going to be that natural inclination for Democrats. Like, she was the vice president. Well, but she lost. But, she only had 100 days. She didn't have a full chance to run. Biden should have stepped aside. And Pete Buttigieg, he gets 0% of the black vote. So she could go into South Carolina and clobber him, unless someone else comes along. That's a maverick that's got a lot of, media attention,
Gene Newsom?
Huh?
Gavin?
Gene Newsom?
I think Gavin Newsom's definitely going to run.
It's going to be fascinating 2027.
We need, I think I've said this many times, but we need 1,000% tariffs put on memoirs from failing politicians. Are you serious? We've gotten the Biden expose. We've gotten, I think Biden's working on one right now. Kamala's writing one.
What people don't understand is this is a great way to filter money to people.
Yes.
Yes. This is 100% a money laundering situation.
operation, right?
Come
People are like,
on,
well, how
guys.
is it that this piece of artwork with a banana taped to the wall could sell for
And
100
can you be more explicit about that? So because like some foundation somewhere is going to buy it with a bunch of donated funds, and then it's just going to go right back into the pocket of say Kamala Harris.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep,
I was
you
going to
got
say
it.
this is so ridiculous. The
You
whole
could
thing
do
is so
this.
ridiculous.
You could totally run this. You know how it works.
I haven't had a failure that big yet. I need to
Yeah.
apparently hide dementia, and then I could sell a ton of books and lie to the American people, and it'd be awesome. And I
Yeah.
could cash out. I'll write a memoir on Josh one day, being the fake Oracle of Podolsky. It was actually ChatGPT the whole time. It was an AI agent this entire time.
It's possible.
Mine is going to be a little bit more lighthearted. You're welcome. So I don't know if you're aware of the beverages High Noon and
Oh my gosh, no way.
Celsius, but Celsius is an energy drink, and they just put in a recall because they accidentally put High Noon alcoholic beverages inside Celsius drinks.
Oops.
And
I've had a few of
so
those.
I just
Celsius
cannot
drink.
stop laughing thinking about the first person that had their morning Celsius to fire up for the workday, and maybe you're like, oh man, this is pretty good. Maybe had another one, and all of a sudden,
there's no way they didn't pick up on that.
I've had 2 shots of vodka already.
just man, the first person who's like, oh man, in their truck, got a long day at work at the job site.
Whoa.
They're like, I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
In a totally different way. I don't know. What? Yeah.
Kinda warm
I don't
and
know
fuzzy.
how. Yeah, that's a crazy swap. I can't think of unless it was like a child beverage or something. Like if they did that to juice boxes, that would be brutal. But
Just a lot of napping children. Kids would
yeah. Yeah.
I would just fall
Napping
asleep.
children, Erika. Yeah. Got a lot of kids, Erika. That would be tough. Okay.
Why is the entire 1st grade class asleep?
Yeah. If you would like more Loopcast, we have the latest episode of The Deep.
Yes.
Erika is tackling the issue of work, what it means, why we're doing it. It feels very connected to AI, and the American approach to work. It's fantastic. It's over on the YouTube, so go ahead and subscribe over there. It's the best place to do it. Check it out. Support Erika. Support her monologues. They're fantastic. Go check them out if you haven't already. And yeah, I think we end this week. Wow, what a week. Happy it's Friday. In prayer. So
Definitely pray for Brian.
Yeah.
Wife Sarah, their kids. Hopefully we're going to see the Senate confirm Brian this weekend. I mean, just talk about being in limbo. Like President Trump nominating him in December, going through the committee in April, and then waiting until August. It's just been a long journey. So all loopers, I think we're all with you. Pray for Brian and Sarah and their whole family.
Yep.
Amen.
All right. Daily prayer today. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. My Jesus, I believe that you are present in the Blessed Sacrament. I love you above all things, and I desire you in my soul. Since I cannot now receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart, as though you were already there. I embrace you and unite myself wholly to you. Permit not that I should ever be separated from you. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Yeah, I've had some people comment about cutting me off after talking. It's just because we live stream to a couple different platforms and they all cut off at weird times. I hit the end button here. So it's not that someone's saying, please let Tom finish. It's actually me hitting the button. So I'm cutting myself off technically. So I just want to make sure we'll add that caveat at the end so maybe people can understand. We'll wait a bit longer. Josh, you have any words of wisdom to make sure that they get that part as I end the stream?
I don't know.
Let's get this bread.
The words of wisdom have been exhausted.
I catch you guys on